Deadline Live, Jack Blood, that is sublime. And those were their sound effects, not mine. Don't write me the letters. I'm drinking water. Thanks for joining us in the program today. Marc Emery with us, the self-proclaimed, actually I think other people have proclaimed that he is the Prince of Pot in Canada, perhaps in the world. Marc, thanks again for being with us today from your store in Vancouver. I think we should tell people exactly what your situation is now. I know that the DEA, the American authorities, have been trying to extradite you here. You've been threatened from everything from death to life in prison. You're out on bond, I believe, now while you're trying to appeal and fight this case and stick up for yourself there. Where are you at? Where exactly is your case now?
I have a hearing on January 21st, so it's coming up pretty soon. And, I'm not given much chance to resist this extradition, even though it's clearly politically motivated. There's 5 other seed sellers on my block here that have always sold to Americans and probably continue to do so, as there are hundreds of seed shops and seed dealers in Canada who have often sold to Americans. But I was the only one that was using the money for political activism to thwart the U.S. Justice Department's war on drugs. I was a big believer, and I said this in interviews all across the world. I was very well publicized. I ran for office frequently. I was very mouthy about my disdain for the war on drugs, the DEA, and I felt that if I could help contribute to marijuana growing all throughout the world and all throughout the United States and Canada, then I, one person, could thwart the efforts of thousands of very evil people who are in the DEA, who work to destroy the plants, who work to destroy people's lives and ruin families, and all those cops in America who are armed against the people of the United States through this drug war. I was helping to thwart, so I really was down with that. And then one day, and this went on for years, and I would give $500,000 away every year to all these different groups fighting the drug, or peaceful, honest groups, too. Nothing unsavory at all. And many of these groups have become very successful now and influential and no longer need my money, but they have other sources. So, it was literally seed money for an entire movement. Nothing existed when I started this in 1990. There were no marijuana legalization groups of any kind doing anything.
Well, I had a legalized marijuana shirt when I was a young man in 1980 or something. So
but we see millions of people organized to legalize marijuana in Canada, the United States now, and there's hundreds of groups, many of them quite reputable and fairly useful. And a lot of these people started out with contributions from me. And so the problem is they can't actually admit that anymore because the U.S. government is charging me with distributing the proceeds of crime. And, of course, the proceeds of crime or any money that was left over after I paid my suppliers, which happens to be all the money I gave away. I never owned anything here. I've never owned a car. I didn't own a property, apartment, nothing. And all the time I've been an activist in 17 years, I've given away all my money. That was the idea. And I've been very good at raising money. I'm a very gifted person when it comes to being a capitalist. I'm an Ayn Rand acolyte for the last 30 years. She's my most influential philosopher in my life. I regard Atlas Shrugged and the book Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal as my Bibles, if you want to use that kind of phraseology. They're the most influential texts that I've ever put in my brain, and I've been an activist in the Ayn Rand mode, I think, for the last 30 years, trying to undo the damage and evil of the state and trying to enhance the power and autonomy of individuals.
Yeah, I'm not sure we want to blame capitalism for all of this, to be honest with you. We can agree to disagree on some of this stuff. Obviously, this is a situation...
No, I'm a capitalist. I don't blame capitalism.
Okay.
I am a capitalist. As an Ayn Rand acolyte, capitalism is our philosophy. I believe in making money. I believe in the private ownership of capital and the creation of wealth. That's what I did, except I chose to give it all away because that's what made me have the most fun. Yeah. I don't need any material goods. I've raised 4 children. I earned enough to pay for their raising for 21 years. They're all adults now, and for the last 17 years I've been enjoying giving money away to these activist groups and to these causes, and it's nice that a capitalist like myself, who's an avowed capitalist, not an apologist, but an avowed capitalist, is able to do great things for people and sacrifice myself, because a lot of people think capitalists are greedy people or capitalists are selfish people. We tend to want to make money so we can use it in ways we see fit, and my way of seeing fit is to give that money away to thousands of people and groups around the world to undo the evils of the state, and that makes me very happy. And to this day, even though I'm facing life imprisonment without parole in a U.S. prison, that's what they're saying, several hundred years, because they're calling me. They went on CNN, the DEA, and said I am the largest producer of marijuana in the history of the U.S. criminal justice system. They're accusing me of producing 100,000 pounds of marijuana every year I was in the seed business, which is 11 years, so that's 1.1 million pounds of marijuana worth $3 billion. And I hope it's true. I hope I help bring $3 billion worth of wealth to my community, because my community are the people of the world who believe in being able to choose what they want to put in their body, and that's 25 million Americans enjoy marijuana. And I was happy to serve those people, and I'm still happy to serve them. They are my people, and I'm there to liberate them, not to obey.
I think it's probably more than even 25 million. What's Canada doing to stick up for you, Mark? I mean, you're one of her citizens. What are they doing to help you out of this mess?
Oh, well, we have a spineless satrapy of a government. Our government is a total Bush puppet regime, and they're, in fact, this week they're introducing new severe punishments and prohibitions to bring us our law in line with the American drug laws. There's mandatory minimums now for growing as little as one plant, 6 months in jail. Mandatory minimums if you have a child in the house when you're growing a plant. Mandatory minimums now for producing any amount of hashish or resin or butter or any of these kind of derivatives of marijuana. This is going to put a lot. They estimate they'll need to build a new prison every year to put just the people arrested and jailed for marijuana. So we have a government, the conservative Stephen Harper government, that is unfortunately a few years late, but has taken on the ideology of the Bush administration. We don't have any elected representatives of the conservative government from a city. They're all from rural areas. So you get all these backward yokels with their backward religious fundamentalism, enforcing their points of view, their intolerance through the government that they now have a minority but control of. So we've got some dark days, and we've got some hard work ahead in Canada. We've got to stop them from passing these bad new laws. And at the same time, the United States is pushing them along and encouraging them and offering all sorts of sweet deals if they do this.
Why are we going backwards here? Because when I was 15 and living in California back in the 70s, I mean, it was legal to grow an ounce for personal consumption. Almost everybody had marijuana plants in their yard and used them as they saw fit. And now look at where we're at, where you can literally get arrested for a seed, and not just the seeds you sell. If somebody pulls you over, if you get pulled over by the police and they find a seed, they will charge you with marijuana possession and act accordingly. Now you're in the system. Now you're on probation. Now you're paying fines. How come we're going backwards here, Mark?
Well, because unfortunately the republic has been sacrificed to an empire. When you've got empire, like Rome, the citizens of Rome began to lose their rights as they expanded an empire abroad. Because the government goes mad with control, mad with power. It corrupts them, and they believe that they have superior wisdom. And since America is the biggest military empire, and they're all over the world in 120 places around the world.
Oh, people don't want to fight when they're on pot. Maybe you just struck a chord. We'll pick up here when we come back. Stay tuned, Mark. Stay tuned, y'all.